Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait, I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
Hey Pete, ever wonder what Steven Spielberg's favorite film is?
You know, Andy, I've heard he loves classics like Lawrence of Arabia, Meet Me in St. Louis.
Imagine chatting with him about why those films resonate with him so much.
That's exactly what we do on our podcast, Movies We Like. We've had incredible guests like actress Dee Wallace, cinematographer Eric Messerschmidt, director Steve Miner, and former Disney animators Tom and Tony Bancroft.
They share their favorite films and the impact they've had on their careers, offering fascinating insights into the craftsmanship and storytelling techniques that make these movies so special.
If you're curious about the magic behind the scenes, subscribe to Movies We Like from True Story FM on your favorite podcast app. New episodes are released on the 4th Monday of each month with early access for our members.
Join us on Movies We Like as we explore the movies we all like with the people who make them.
And Stephen, our people will call your people. Let's make this happen, puppy.
Subscribe today.
Coming up on The Devil's Details, why so horny? Dr. Faustus, Act 4. Good morning, Star, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just 2 lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. Last time, you'll remember, Faustus crashed the Pope's pre-dinner torture fest and freed the other Pope. That would be Pope Bruno, although we don't talk about him.
No.
Meanwhile, our other boys, Robin and Rafe, or Robin and Dick, are having legions of fun until they crank call the wrong devil. Mephistopheles puts an end to their apish and doggish, I guess, pranks by transforming them into an ape and a dog.
Or giving them an ape mask and a dog mask.
Sure.
Because they still talk. They still walk on their hind legs, whatever.
Yeah. They can't tell the difference. They're Robin and Rafe.
They're poor.
Yeah.
They don't know.
It's class. It's a class thing. It's funny because they don't have as much as us. Now, after which Mephistopheles rejoins Faustus just in time for dinner. What follows is a scene straight out of Beetlejuice. Oh my God, it's the 3rd time. If you're counting the last 2 times from last week.
I hope no one's listening to both episodes back to back.
Right? In which he and Mephistopheles, I'm talking about Faustus, not Beetlejuice.
No.
In which he and Mephistopheles cause plates to spin, goblets to levitate, and there's even a part where the Pope and several of the cardinals sing Harry Belafonte. No. But Faustus spooks them good, and that's pretty much where we left off. Yeah. Okay, so now we're in Act 4. It's another short one, folks. Only 2 scenes. First, we find ourselves at the court of Emperor Charles V, or Carolus V, as Marlowe calls him. Now remember, this is the Holy Roman Emperor, and yeah, just like I said, the production I saw had Pope Bruno in attendance as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Remember, Bruno was the other pope getting tortured by Pope Adrian in the last act, and our boys rescued him and spirited him back to the emperor. So, of course, he would be here. And the emperor has heard all about Faustus's reputation, all about this magic he's supposed to be able to do, and he wants to see it for himself. He says, Faustus, I am overjoyed to meet you face to face. You've been getting quite a name. Oh, this is Jesus Christ Superstar. Do not. It's like,
I don't know.
This is King Herod. It's King Herod's song. All right.
I could tell it was a song. I could tell I didn't understand it.
Oh yes. I could sort of tell it was a song, Lester.
Well, it rhymed.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I was
But,
frantically
like-
scanning my copy of the A-text trying to find where you were.
Oh, I see.
Meet you
Yeah.
face to face. It's here.
Yeah.
Oh God, I've got the wrong text.
This is the JC text.
Right, the Andrew Lloyd Webber version.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That would be. Let's see. Oh, they can't call it Faust because that's already a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's an opera. No. It'd be Faust with an exclamation point.
That's right.
Because that's how you do a musical. Right?
And then theater people would still find a way to shorten it. Like Phantom of the Opera is far too long for theater folks to say in conversation.
Right.
So they must say
What do they say? They say poto?
No, they say Phantom. Right? They just
Really? No, okay.
They
I've
just
heard
say
poto.
Phantom. I haven't heard Poto.
Yeah.
Because even Phantom is too long for them, right? So
Right. Yeah.
So Faustus is too long. So
But poto is the same number of syllables as phantom. It's just like saying, www takes longer to say than World Wide Web.
That's right. When I was in third grade with our friend Ian Hinden,
Uh-huh.
he was fighting the good fight against the kids in the playground who would say EWJ to be Earthworm Jim, which was a game character at that point.
Oh, right.
And he was like, but it takes longer to say EWJ than Earthworm Jim. And they would just look at him like he had spoken the unspeakable. They're like, this is the least cool conversation I have ever had in my whole life. This kid clearly is not one of us. EWJ.
Where did you learn that? And then Ian says, in Worms, Germany.
At the Diet of Worms.
Yes, this is EWJ's hometown.
Right, but that's the playground taunts. Your mom eats a diet of worms.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
where are we?
So we're in Act 4 of Trage. The tragical history, right? Or is it historical tragedy? Oh God, I don't know.
But abbreviated to trash! Exclamation.
Trage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Foul. No, it would be right. It would be about Mephistopheles, right? Because they have that musical about just Fagin now, right?
Oh,
Wait,
really?
Don't they? Well, maybe I'm just. Maybe
They have a musical about it. Yeah, sure. They have got a musical about Henry VIII's wives. They've got a musical about Pippin, who's the son of Charlemagne. They got musicals for everybody. Whoever you shouldn't be making a musical about, yes, they have one about. Yes.
Yeah. You know what? I am correct. They do have a musical about Fagin.
Uh-huh.
You know what it's called?
Abbreviating Fagin to
No.
one syllable with
I
an
wasn't going
exclamation
there.
point.
No.
No, what do they abbreviate? Fagin?
The musical all about Fagin is called Oliver. So I was right, even though I was wrong. I thought no. What I was looking at, okay, there is a poster for Oliver that is basically Fagin's face.
Right. Yes.
It's like Oliver, and his the O and the V are his eyes, and the L is his nose, and then there's like a beard and a hat, and that's like, and I thought, for some reason, it was like they did a spin-off, and it was just all about Fagin, and
right,
but his face spells out Oliver, Lester. And his ear is the exclamation point. It's right there.
Yeah, where's Oliver here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, so we got foul.
We got foul, right? Or meth. Yeah. But no, okay. So we were talking about JC Superstar, right? Because King Herod is like, it's like, oh, do a trick for me, right? To Jesus,
Yep.
and it really is like this, right? Like Emperor Charles is like, listen, you got diplomatic immunity here. Basically, nobody's going to arrest you for witchcraft. Nobody's going to burn you at the stake. He's talking to Faustus. We specifically didn't invite Peter Binsfeld.
Right.
So show us what you got, right?
Yeah, that was usually the case. People specifically not inviting Peter Binsfeld.
Right, and it was just like, to Emperor Charles, I hear you're having your next big shindig. It's like, oh no, actually, Peter, we had to cancel it. Everybody else came down with the plague, and we just we have to be sensitive about this stuff, social distancing and everything. It's
right.
like, I understand. Yes. So we'll be having it. It'll be like a distance party. Well, no, because this particular plague does spread over giving and receiving parchment, so we can't do that either. Yeah. Okay. Well,
we really wish we could. Yes.
Yes. It's like, I understand. Thoughts and press. No. Those are contagious as well. It's like, yeah.
But as soon as they find a cure for plague, we'll get you over here. Show you the pool table.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing some research over here. I'm thinking it's one of these witches. That's why we're burning so many. Well. You know what?
You keep doing that. That's fine. That's fine. You keep burning the witches. That's fine.
Yeah. You do you, boo. Yeah. Binsfeld. Yeah. But no, okay, so Emperor Carolus is asking Faustus to put on a show, right? And during this whole exchange, there is this knight in attendance who just keeps on butting in with these skeptical comments. He's clearly not buying any of this, right? Now, this knight is unnamed in the A text, but in the B text, he is called Benvolio. Now, you might be saying, hey, now wait just a god-dang pickled pecker-picking minute.
Yeah, hey, now wait just a god-dang pickled pecker-picking minute.
Yeah. See, you got it.
Pickled peckers. Oh, shoot. Pickled peppers.
Yeah. But yeah, folks, so we might know a Benvolio from Romeo and Juliet. He was Romeo's cousin. Interesting to note that Romeo and Juliet was first published around 1595, and this play was first published almost 10 years later, but that's just the A text where the knight is not named, so we cannot accuse Marlowe of trying to cash in on Shakespeare's character. But perhaps whoever named this knight Benvolio in the B text in 1616 was referencing... homaging, homagging Shakespeare's by now popular character.
I bet he was super popular, right? I bet he was a scene stealer.
Oh, yeah, right?
Because a bit like Benvolio and the nurse are probably the most fun, but the nurse doesn't get a name because she's the nurse.
But she is
about
fun.
class.
She is, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. She's 4.
Yeah.
She's going to land.
I would also think like Mercutio, though, would be...
Oh, yes. That's true.
Were you thinking of Mercutio?
Yeah. Exactly.
I was like, there's...
You're like, Benvolio. No, Benvolio's pretty boring. Benvolio's pretty much like...
He's the peacekeeper. He's like, hey, don't fight. Yeah.
Maybe you should go back to Rosalind or whatever, right? Yeah. But Benvolio, that's what I was going to say. Benvolio, I think means good spirit or peacekeeper.
Yeah. Right. Bene, like Ben, right? Yeah. However, this Benvolio is almost the exact opposite of Shakespeare's Benvolio. Like I said, he seems to be itching to start a fight with Faustus. Not only is he a heckler, but he is a heckler of the worst kind because he is a heckler who came to a magic show. Because nobody likes hecklers. Nobody hecklers think they are the godsend to stand-up comedians, right?
Right.
But in reality, it's just like the worst thing, right? Like just like tripping up somebody's performance, right? Like interrupting them like that. It's like incredibly rude. Right. But
there's like the heckler who's like, I don't think that's funny, which is one thing, and it's I have a way of telling whether you thought something is funny is you didn't laugh,
right?
But then I think even worse is the person who's like thinking that they're part of the show and that they're
right. They think this is
they
like
are funny, right?
Yeah. Like this is like a yes and thing.
Correct.
Like it's a back and
Yeah,
forth.
you need me.
No, no, Hardy, sit down. Yeah. Or would it be Laurel?
Laurel.
Or would it be Yanny? Do you guys?
Stop
Do you guys remember that?
You guys remember that in the future? Laurel and Yanny. They might remember Hardy and Laurel.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
But when you say it backwards, it doesn't sound familiar. Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
Hardy and Laurel.
Yeah. There you go. Right.
Costello and Abbott.
There you go. Right.
But what did you hear, Yanny or Laurel?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I heard Wraith.
That's funny. I heard Dick.
Yeah, see, and it was
There you go.
a picture of that gentleman, right? And I hate it when people send me unsolicited Wraith pics. Yeah. Anyway.
So this night is heckling the magic show, right?
Right. So not only like it's one thing to heckle a comedy show, folks.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy's going to a magic show and being like, it's not really magic. Oh, she's not really sawed in half. I see the extra pockets. Like, geez, man.
Mm-hmm. I went to the Magic Castle for my boyfriend's 40th birthday party.
Oh, yeah?
And it was really great. Yeah, the Magic Castle up on the hill in L.A. And you have to know someone who's a member, and the members are usually magicians or like people who support magicians. And we went to a main stage show, but then the Magic Castle is cool because there's a bunch of aspiring magicians, and they just sort of they just love you. Like, hey, come over here real quick, and they'll show you a trick.
Uh-huh.
So you're just getting all this free magic, everywhere you look. And we went to this sort of side room as we're waiting for our dinner to be ready, and and there was an aspiring magician, and I saw him palm the Rubik's Cube he made disappear. Just from my angle, I could see it. But then, everyone else at the table was like, "Oh, wow, that was great." So I just, what I did? I just kept it to myself.
You saw how the magic trick worked, and you said nothing?
And I said nothing, and I clapped. And I was happy for the people in my party who didn't see it.
And that young man was burned at the stake later. And you could have saved his life.
I could have saved him, Lester. I could have saved him.
No, it was sleight of hand, I swear. This gentleman saw me. This gentleman was standing at the perfect time. Tell them that it was all just trickery and fakery.
You want me to ruin my boyfriend's 40th birthday? We're all dressed up here. I'm going to say, no, I defy thee, sir. I defy thee.
Oh. And the sentence was carried out, and but we all had a happy birthday, so that was good.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd go back.
I don't think that guy's performing anymore, though. Yeah. But okay, so the emperor asks to see Alexander the Great and his quote paramour. So quick note here, paramour refers to Alexander the Great's mistress or lover. Specifically, the text is referring to his beloved Thais, I believe is how you pronounce it. And she was a famous courtesan. The word paramour in Elizabethan usage typically meant a lover, especially in the context of an illicit or unmarried relationship. It comes from the old French per amour, meaning through or by love.
Mm-hmm. All right.
There you go. So now Faustus has to explain that he can't actually raise their physical bodies, right? They've been dead for too long for that. But he can conjure their spirits. And again, Benvolio just cannot help himself. He's like making these comments under his breath, and he's finally just like, I'm out. And he leaves and he goes, in the version I saw, he went to the opposite end of the stage, and he just took a nap. Because he says Faust's attempts to conjure have put him to sleep. So yeah, but yeah,
guys, you're telling me all of a sudden you could do anything, but now the one thing that the emperor asks for, you're telling me you can't do that,
right? Yeah,
right. Oh, I left Alexander the Great in my other bag.
Yeah,
he's at home, right? And Thais is in my other pair of pants. I forgot.
Yeah, you're gonna have to settle for Alexander the okay. All right. But yeah, so the spectacle begins, and Mephistopheles brings in Alexander and his paramour, and they look completely real, which I'm realizing now is like the easiest special effect to pull off in this play. Like, oh, Lord Emperor, I can't summon them in the flesh, but I can summon their spirits and make them to look almost like they are really real people standing here on the stage. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I could make them look like there's a low-grade fog machine somewhere in the back of the theater that's been turned on about 4 minutes ago. And the fog is finally reaching out here, yes.
But, like, I don't know why that tickles me so much, but, like, reading this, like, as a story, it's like, oh, Faustus's, or I guess Mephistopheles' magic is so great that he can cause these illusions to look like you could reach out and touch them. But then, of course, when you're putting it on in a live production with actors, they're gonna be real actors that you could, like, reach out and touch. So, like, the illusion is, like, I guess, too good.
You have to pretend that you can't touch them, I guess. You have to
you have to pretend that you can't touch them.
As you can to touching them without touching them.
But that and that's the thing is, like, in the version I saw, the emperor reached out to touch them, and Faustus was like, no, my lord, your hand, if you tried to touch them, your hand would pass through them. Trust me, it would pass right through them. Don't do it in front of all these people. But trust me that it would pass right through them like they are ghosts.
I thought your hand will be cut off, or your hand will freeze, or your hand will break out in acne or something. Or anything, Yeah, the emperor's like, tell me something that I don't want. It's like, I want to see my hand pass through Alexander the Great. Absolutely. And feel the spirit of Alexander the Great's descending colon and his thalamus gland. Yeah, I'd love to feel that.
Yeah. Ooh, I like your nail polish. What is that? Oh, that's just Alexander the Great ectoplasm. Yes. Right. But yeah, so the emperor cannot believe what he is seeing. And apparently, Thais famously had this, like, mole or beauty mark on the back of her neck. And the emperor asks if he can get a close look, like, to check and to see if, if she's the real deal. And he, Faustus gives him permission, which I thought was weird, but, then he goes over and he checks, and he is overjoyed that these are the authentic, or I guess as close as possible to the authentic shades of Alexander and his paramour.
Right.
Which this puzzled me a little bit, Keenan, because in the play, the whole reason this gets brought up is the emperor is saying, I'm related to Alexander the Great.
Oh,
and,
right.
Yeah, and every time I hear my ancestor, oh shit, am I doing it backwards? He's his ancestor.
Alexander the Great is the ancestor, yes.
Is the answer? Okay, yeah.
The emperor is the descendant, yeah.
Yes, there we go. Got it. Okay. But yeah, so the emperor is like every time I hear people talk of my ancestor, I just feel insecure and I feel like inadequate. I want to talk to him. I want him to mentor me. I want him to, like give me kingly advice. And Faustus is like, yeah, I can summon him, but you won't be able to touch him. And you won't be able to talk to him.
Right.
And the emperor is like, okay, that's good enough. Just seeing his visage will inspire me. And I'm here, this thing is like, will it? You just see him? Like, how's that gonna,
Yeah. If you believe in it enough.
How do you even know that's him?
Well, that's what I think is interesting. I think this is what the play is doing well, right? Because so if I think this is a magician and not a sorcerer, like a party magician, right?
Right. A magician and not I got you. Yeah.
Then it's like, well, I have as part of my troupe a male actor and a female actor, and I will ask, who do you want to see? And then I have one to play a man. If he comes up with a man, I want to see my grandfather. Oh, here's the grandfather. I want to see Joan of Arc, and then I have this woman to play Joan of Arc.
Right.
Or if I want to see Antony and Cleopatra, I have both of them. Right.
Boom. Yeah.
But yeah, so checking for the mole is the birthmark, right? That's interesting. 'Cause that's how we can tell. Like, oh no, it's not just someone you had in the back there. These are the real deal. Because okay, I show up and I bring Alexander the Great and Thais. Like, I have no idea what they look like.
Right.
We don't have photographs of Alexander.
We don't have photographs.
The Great, right?
Like, the closest thing we'd have is that marble sculpture over there, right?
Right. Yeah, and who knows how accurate that was, right?
Yeah. And they didn't include the mole.
Right. So the real Theus didn't have this, apparently, as far as, or she might have, and it was not written down, right? So it doesn't come from actual history anywhere. But
do you think that was just a device for Marlowe to be like there's no way to fake this?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading at elizabethandrama.org, and their notation of it. So this seems to be invented by whoever wrote the chapbook. Because it's in the chapbook, but there's Alexander's paramours didn't have this story at all. So they are saying that there was a Mary of Burgundy, who would have been the Duchess of Burgundy, and she was recognized when she went to the realm of the Roman Emperor Maximilian by a similar mole on the back of her neck. So there was a case where that had happened. Yes,
I see. Okay. And so we're just kind of like blending these two stories together.
Right. But she wasn't a ghost, or if she was a ghost, that wasn't written in history.
Gotcha.
Right, exactly. She might have been a ghost, but that would have been a coincidence, is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. And the reason it wasn't written down was people were too scared. Right. And actually, we did uncover a parchment, but it just you unroll it and it just says and then it trails off. We think this might be related to the text about Mary of Burgundy. We don't know. Mary of Burgundy. No.
She's the Duchess of Booberries, yes. But her kingdom would only exist around September and October.
Yes.
And all the kids wanted to go to their kingdom, but their parents just say, it's not really a very good kingdom, and we already have kingdoms at home that are doing just fine.
Although now, right, now those children are older and they're noticing that, the Feast of St. Nicholas is just kind of like invading Booberry's territory. And it's just like every year, the Feast of St. Nicholas is just closer and closer. Both of them have become so commercialized. It's disgusting.
All right, so the Emperor is really, really happy with Faustus. He's like, great, that's all the proof I need. Faustus is my boy.
Yes, but Faustus is not done yet. He is still thinking about Benvolio. He's got a little Benvolio on his mind. So he has them call Benvolio back in, and when Benvolio returns, he's got these horns growing right out of his head. The Emperor actually makes it worse. It's like pointing out that the horns are a sign that the knight's wife has been unfaithful.
So is he saying it like, oh, that's because, as we all know, your wife has been unfaithful, or is it like, well, you have horns, so that means that your wife must be unfaithful?
I think it's the way that he said it, like, and this is a known thing. This is like some Elizabethan medieval Renaissance slang that I still cannot wrap my head around.
Right.
Like, this is something that I have been trying to find the origin of, right? But yeah, folks, like, if you don't know, apparently having horns on your head is like slang for being cuckolded.
A cuckold, yeah.
Yes, right? For having a partner who is cheating on you. And you're like a laughing stock and everyone's like, look at his horns, right?
Right.
But nowhere can I actually find a definitive reason as to why. And for
why the horns?
Second, why is it horns, right? And for a second, I got really excited because I thought I had stumbled upon something. Folks, you'll remember in our earlier episodes, we talk about that mistranslation when Moses had horns instead of rays of light sprouting from his head. And remember, he had just spoken to God and they were trying to say that he was glowing. He was filled with the good news, right? He had a halo, essentially, right? But the word for rays of light and horns was very similar. So it was unintentionally, or maybe intentionally, by early anti-Semites, translated as horns.
Okay.
Well, in one of Stephen King's books, I think it's one of the Dark Tower books, a character reflects on how God, quote, made Joseph wear horns. Now, this is Joseph, Jesus' earthly foster father. And suddenly I'm like, wait a minute. Is this where we get the idea that cuckolds have horns? Because God, quote, made Joseph wear horns. And then is this not the same word being mistranslated? Right? And that makes perfect sense. It's the nativity story, right?
Okay.
The angel comes down to Joseph and he's like, hey, be not afraid. Also be not angry at your wife. She's pregnant, but it's the Son of God. And maybe what the author was trying to say was, like Moses, Joseph was filled with the good news and he starts glowing. He gets a halo. But they still hadn't figured out like the first mistranslation. So they saw it again here and were like, oh, I guess God gave him horns because he's like humiliating him.
Okay.
Right? And folks, I was so proud of myself. I was like, I just cracked the code. Did I just figure it out? Like, that's why horns for, people who are getting cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
But then I went and looked for that passage where God, quote, made Joseph wear horns, and I cannot find it anywhere.
Okay. I thought that I had not. I thought that I had missed something. Yeah.
No, like I don't know where Stephen King got this idea.
Stephen King again.
I cannot find any translations of the nativity story unless it's mentioned like later in another part of the Bible, like a callback. It's like, hey, remember, the Son of God came down and God made Joseph wear horns, something like that. But I could not find it. So I'm back to square one. I have no idea how horns became the symbol for being cheated on. Like, my sources all agree that it was like popular derogatory slang in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, but none of them can tell me why. And equally surprising, cuckold horns are never associated with devil horns.
Right.
They were both a thing by this time, but weirdly, they are always completely separate from each other. Like, the association doesn't even enter people's minds. And here, you have a story with both. You literally have a devil putting horns on another guy. And again, like, devils were known for having horns at this point. But it's like these two cultural ideas were so separated that it didn't even occur to the Elizabethans that there was like maybe an opportunity for a joke here, right? Nor can I find a reference outside of this play where the devil's horns are being compared to like cuckold horns. That fascinates me because that means that one or both of these things was so important and so individual in people's minds and to the culture that they wouldn't even think to link them. Even in a play where both horned characters are literally standing next to each other. Like you'd be in the audience with Marlowe and they're like rehearsing and you're like, oh, here's a perfect joke. Are you gonna put a joke here? And Marlowe would be like, a joke about what? Like, I don't know what you're referring to. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd never made that connection. So I know about these two different types of horns separately, and I've never made the connection before. I've never thought about them. But yeah, they're on stage together. That's so interesting. So, yeah, well, first of all, the cuckold is like the cuckoo because the cuckoo, to be cuckolded is basically that it's not just that your wife is cheating on you, it's that she is, or she could be, carrying another man's child. And now you are taking care of another man's child and you are silly because you've been, you think that this is your kid now, right?
Right. And like the cuckoo bird, like in nature, is purported to put its eggs in another bird's nest.
Yeah, and push out the other birds, the other regular birds there. Yeah, and that is like, can we do spoilers for Braveheart? So really quickly,
sure.
really quick spoilers for Braveheart. Yeah. Give us about 20 seconds. But that is like the ultimate victory of Braveheart because he's going to get his head cut off. Everyone knows that, and never take our freedom, right? Do you want to do a Braveheart there? They may take our lives.
Until you said that line, in my mind, I was constructing an improv from Brave.
Very similar, right?
And I was like, if you had the chance to change your fate, would you?
I'll be fighting for my own hand, she says.
And you were like, and then they cut off his head, and I'm like, what?
All right, if you come back, we're still on Braveheart because we had a misunderstanding. You skipped ahead. We're still on Braveheart because we misunderstood.
Yes.
Great. They may take our lives, but they may never take our freedom. Right.
Yes.
So then William Wallace gets his head cut off. Oh, wait, spoiler wall back up. And but it's okay because he has impregnated the King of England's wife. he has cuckolded the King of England, right? And so then it's like, ha, a Scotsman has cuckolded the King of England. That's like this, that's the middle finger at the end of Braveheart that we get.
So that's how he wins.
That's how he wins.
With his head cut off.
Right. A Scotsman, the King of England is raising a Scotsman's child as his own and being cuckolded.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that silly King of England.
Right. But the horns, so yeah, that's interesting. So I'll tell you what I've heard about the horns, and that I'm seeing as I'm Googling as you're talking. But yeah, it doesn't explain why. Is that it's like it's like the horns of a deer, a stag, and they fight over mates with their horns, right?
I saw that too. When I was looking this up, I was like, that
is only half of the solution, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Right. But why doesn't the horns mean that you are the one who wins the woman?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Why is it that you're the one who lost the woman, so you get the horns? Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
It gets just so far, and then it's like you see, well, it's like horns, just like a staff. Or I saw talking about a goat, right? Yes. Like a male goat or a ram, right? They'll fight for the mate. I was like, great. That doesn't
right.
They both. The winner and the loser have horns.
Exactly. So,
the female has horns. And then I asked, our good friend ChatGPT, and he said, well, horns because, the cuckoo bird. And I'm like, shut up, ChatGPT.
Like the cuckoo's horns.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyways, we get cuckoos and the horns of the stag and yada yada yada, and then you and I online are called libcucks or something. Oh right, that's the thing. Like Cuck, they've shortened it, right? Yeah, because they don't have time.
That's the musical.
They're like theater kids. Yeah.
When you want to make a musical about getting cheated on, you just. What are you going to go see? I mean, I saw, I really liked their production of Joseph. Oh yeah, that was great, right?
Right.
No horns though. But yeah, and then they did Phantom, right? And after that was Oliver, right? What are you going to see now? Oh, you're going to love it. Michael Crawford in Cuck. Oh, the choreography, the songs. Oh, it's amazing. With an exclamation point.
Right, exclamation point. Okay, good. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Right. But okay, to my other point, Keenan, back in the day, if there was a painting of this emperor or of Pope Adrian or of Pope Bruno or whatever, right? And Faustus went up and he drew little horns on the guy's forehead. Everyone would see that and be like, that guy's getting cheated on, right? Except for the Pope, because he shouldn't be, because he's I just realized that. But today, you do that. You go up to, it's election time right now, right? And if you or I went up to a picture of the other party's candidate and defaced it, I know you wouldn't do that and I wouldn't do that, because who the fuck would do that? That's a childish, immature thing.
Right.
But if we did it, you'd be like, oh, Lester or Keenan is saying that person is the devil.
Right. Yes, right? Not a cuck. Yes.
Not a cuck, right? But yeah, so after the court teases Benvolio and Faustus humiliates him, Mephistopheles removes the horns. Not his horns, Benvolio. See? See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yes, I just want to point out, so this Charles V, that's a real Roman emperor. It's not a fictional Roman emperor.
Right.
Like we had a fictional Pope Adrian and a fictional Pope Bruno. But this Roman emperor died in 1558, so this is 40 years before they wrote Dr. Faustus, so it's like 4 Roman emperors back. Yeah, so it's weird, right? Because we talked about, if you have the Pope or if you have the Roman Emperor, or the Holy Roman Emperor, you're like, that's whatever you call him. We're talking about today's, Holy Roman Empire, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, but this one is Carolus, Charles V, and but he's the Roman emperor from 4 back. So I was thinking about why is that? And so this is the son of Ferdinand and Isabella. Right. And you know what? We shouldn't call them Ferdinand and Isabella, because Isabella was the important one. So it's Isabella and Ferdinand. Let me try to break that up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the more important one. She had the most land, and she was more powerful. Anyways, so he is the son of Isabella and Ferdinand, and he was the first Holy Roman Emperor who had to deal with the Reformation, and so he actually called Martin Luther to
a cuck. Sorry, did I jump the gun?
I said, well, that ought to take care of that, right? There's the 95 Theses on the church door, and then I proclaim Martin Luther to be a cuck, and it's just right next to there. He walks away from the door, like just patting dirt off of his hands, like
it's just like there's luckily there's a portrait of Martin Luther, right?
Right,
and he just gets a little Sharpie and he's just like there, right? And everyone's like,
oh.
It's like, oh, look what's nailed onto the door, but look what's right beside it.
All right, so in real life, okay. Just so everyone understands at home. That didn't happen.
No.
So Martin Luther posts the 95 Theses on the church door, right, the cathedral door, and so Charles V calls Martin Luther to the Diet of Worms that we've been making fun of.
Right, yeah.
And so he asks him to explain himself, and he defends himself, and everyone else apparently at the Diet of Worms is like, well, this is a big deal. And Charles V apparently is the one who let Martin Luther leave and be like, oh, well, this does not matter. This is not that big of a deal.
Right.
So apparently, obviously you blame Martin Luther for the Reformation, but Charles V is the one that happened to on his watch, essentially.
I see.
Yes, and then more closer to home for Marlowe, he is also the person who told the Pope, because essentially the Pope, depending on whose side you're on, was a hostage of the Holy Roman Emperor or an ally of the Holy Roman Emperor, like, depending on how you're measuring that. He's the one who told the Pope to not let Henry V divorce his wife, Catherine of Aragon, which then causes the English Reformation.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, the English Reformation, because in Marlowe's time they're all Protestant English, and they're anti-Catholic, and so who they're really making fun of when they're making fun of the Pope and making fun of the Catholicness is Charles V.
Right.
Who again has been dead for 40 years, but they're still taking their pot shots at him.
Well, he can't dodge him anymore.
That's right. It's very easy, much easier.
Yeah. Right. And folks, now you understand the origin of the word cuck. No. But yeah, now the B text also has this extra scene, seems very Shakespearean, where the other knights are trying to console Benvolio, but he has vowed to avenge himself on Faustus for being humiliated. This is outside at night, and they see Faustus walking by, and they jump him, and in the production I saw, Benvolio cuts off Faustus's head. And it's actually, like, in the stage direction I saw, it's like enter Faustus with, like, a fake head. Right? But here, like, they did it was a really clever illusion. It's his real head, and it's cleverly kind of like slid down in this large coat. So one of the other knights accompanying Benvolio kind of like grabs him and holds him. And I guess, I actually don't know how to, you know what? We need a heckler right now to tell me how this is done. But like, I think he holds the coat up while the actor playing Faustus's head kind of like slides down. So it looks like his head falls off, basically. Falls off into this knight's hand. And so he's like holding
I'll be your heckler for you.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Shit's fake.
There you go. Right? Yeah, folks, turns out they didn't actually cut this actor's head off, right? Sheesh. Lack of commitment right here. But no, so they do the rest of the scene, right? Benvolio is kind of like celebrating, and saying, what they're going to do to the body and how they're going to expose Faustus for a fraud. And then like during this time, like as they're talking, Faustus has opened his eyes, right? And he's kind of like looking around, and like the people in the audience are like, whoa, right? They're laughing because the knights don't see it yet, right? And they finally see it, and it scares them all, and they kind of like back away from Faustus, and he screws his head back on, right? And then he summons, and this is in the text, Bellymoth and Ashtaroth.
Okay.
Right? Now, one of those I know, right? Ashtaroth. But Bellymoth, again, this is like, they keep on almost saying Belial. And I'm like, and then no, right?
Okay, so Ashtaroth is a real demon?
One of the appropriated ones, right? So was a god/goddess, and then became is one of the demons. One of the 72, I believe, in the Ars Goetia.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm pulling up some pictures, and there's some kind of jackal, and on top of him is some winged guy.
Yeah, the winged guy is Ashtaroth. Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, who's the jackal?
Who's the thing he rides?
Let's make it Bellamoth. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well then now they work. Now they work together. Yeah. Right. But yeah, and also Mephistopheles. That's the third demon he summons.
Okay, right. Uh-huh.
He just was like, and me, right?
Me, the star of the show.
Yep. Right.
Meth.
Yeah, meth. Right. That's what you bought your tickets for, right? You see it. You see my face, right? Just spelled out in half of my name, right? But yeah, and they either drag these guys to hell or fly off with them to like toss them into the sea or dash them against some rocks. And then Faustus says, "Sweet Mephistopheles, let us make haste to Wittenberg." And Mephistopheles asks if they should go by horse. And folks, I shit you not, Faustus looks out into the crowd and he says, "Nay. Till I am past this fair and pleasant green, I'll walk on foot."
Okay.
So there you go. All right. So then.
All right. So I missed that in the A-text. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, the nay.
Basically, he just. Yeah. Because basically he just puts the horns on Benvolio, and that's enough to embarrass him.
Right.
And he doesn't try any more shit.
Right. And then Benvolio, according to Marlowe, just kind of just goes off sulking, and that's it.
Yeah, goes off sulking.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to go to Verona and make some new friends.
Yeah.
I hear the Montagues down there looking for a new cousin.
Yeah.
And he goes down there.
Right.
Yeah.
Because remember, folks, cousin just meant, just a close personal acquaintance.
Right. It's more like Pauly Shore, like cousin.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, cousin.
No. Yeah. He was the guy they replaced. It was Romeo, Mercutio, and Paulio. And they were like, no, one of you's got to go. It's like,
yeah, something about Paulio makes me not want to catch whatever.
No. That's why he speaks like that. It's like,
oh, he's got Paulio.
Yeah. You got to go. Like he's gonna make a pilgrimage to Pisa. I think you mean Pisa. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, cousin.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so then we're back in Wittenberg, and we've got this horse trader who wants to buy a horse from Faustus. You notice that, like, it's getting, like, kind of episodic now, right? It's just like, it's like first we see the Pope, and then we don't see, and then we go here, and then we're,
Right.
And it's just...
Now we're talking about, whether we're going to take a horse or not.
Yeah, right? But yeah, so now in comes this horse trader. And in the production I saw, it was the same actor who played Pope Adrian. And Keenan, you saw a little bit of it with me, so you remember kind of like Pope Adrian's face, right? Like I was able to recognize him. And that's when I realized all of these characters, save Faustus and Mephistopheles, are played by a handful of actors. And I started noticing other faces. And I was like, oh, Pope Bruno was one of the 7 deadly sins earlier. Oh, Wagner is the Holy Roman Emperor. And I was like, oh, Rafe was one of the 2 scholars at the beginning, right? And now this has nothing to do with anything. I'm not saying this is how this play is done traditionally today or even when Marlowe was alive. But folks, I am a sucker for that, right? Like I know it sort of ruins the magic like we were talking about, but I love seeing it, especially when the roles are like on opposite ends of the spectrum. And so, seeing this guy go from like scary Disney villain-esque Pope Adrian to the British version of Jim Varney as this horse trader, like was a real treat. And I looked him up. Nigel Cuck is his name. And in the program, I found another surprise. He plays Lucifer. And we already had a Lucifer scene. And I was like, no, that wasn't him. This is a mistake. But then I went back and I checked, and holy shit, that was him. So it was a double surprise because I recognized him in 2 of his roles, and then that gave me like a little thrill. And then I find that he still pulled one over on me with Lucifer. And it's this right here, this feeling that first made me want to be an actor. These moments of knowing how the magic works and still being able to appreciate the skill and, in this case, still being tricked. That's like the exact thing I dreamed of doing when I was little. Like having someone be like, Lester plays the crime boss, but he's also juror number 3. No. And the milkman. No. Right?
I remember when The Nutty Professor came out.
Uh-huh.
You must be a fan of The Nutty Professor, right?
Are we talking about the old one or the...
No,
the other
Murphy
old one?
Oh,
the Eddie Murphy one.
The old one. The one when we were kids. That's the old one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Eddie Murphy one. Yes.
The Eddie Murphy one. Yeah. And my mom, she'd seen Coming to America, so she knows that Eddie Murphy plays a bunch of different characters, right?
Right.
But we could not convince her that Mrs. Clump was Eddie Murphy as well. Because Mrs. Clump is like a soft, sweet, like she's a well-rounded character, she's not just like silly, and she doesn't, I was gonna say she doesn't just have fart jokes, she doesn't like fart jokes. Mrs. Clump, right? She hates the fart jokes, right? So she's the straight person in the scene, right? And my mother's like, no, I get that Eddie Murphy's the grandma, and I get that he's Mr. Clump and then the brother-in-law Clump, but I cannot believe that he is Mrs. Clump like that. Because Mrs. Clump was like a real woman, yeah.
I love that, and because it's like they weren't caricatures, they were characters.
Yeah,
right?
Certainly her. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, see that is the stuff I dream of. I or I mean, I was just talking about Jim Varney, right? Like having him like do like all of those different personas, not just in his TV show, but like in his movies as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
The Ernest movies,
right?
Yeah.
The English. Jim Varney, that makes sense, because in ElizabethanDrama.org, they're saying that the horse courser, horse courser.
Horse courser, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't, his cousin, Pickles Peckers.
Right.
Yeah.
The horse courser.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of like a stock character akin to the way we would say today a used car salesman.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're already like built into this. This is someone who's out to get you.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, I loved that. But yeah, so now we got this horse trader, this horse courser. And Faustus agrees to sell his horse to him with one very specific condition. Don't ride it into water. And I feel like even back then we knew what was going to happen, right? But yeah, the deal is made and the horse trader leaves, rejoicing in his new horse, which has, quote, a buttock as slick as an eel. I don't know horses. Is this a good thing?
And just one buttock? Is that just how they doled them out back then? Because today we do 2. You kind of have to have 2.
Yeah, like if he has a buttock, period. You might have been sold a lemon. Well, what's the horse equivalent of a lemon?
Like a lemon sugar cube, I guess. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, to have a horse with a slick butt, I don't know. I don't know. If
my only guess is that he's commenting on like the horse's coat, like its fur, right? Like it's slick, it's very shiny, it's very healthy, and I guess the buttock is the biggest, most solid part for assessing the coat,
right?
And I guess like musculature and weight and stuff like that, As a buttock as slick as that is one pickup line that thankfully has not survived.
A turkey the size of Adam and a buttock as slick as an eel.
What kind of dinner parties do you go to? Jeez. Yeah. So yeah, folks, don't look a gift horse in the butt. But maybe do it if Faustus is the one selling it to you.
Right, yeah.
Because I think we already know, even the Elizabethans like they're stupid.
Right. Even the ones who invented Shakespearean drama.
Yeah,
for
right.
instance.
But like, I think even back then, like we knew like Faustus is up to something with this whole, like don't, ride him into water thing, right? It's either a scam or a prank, right? Both of which should be beneath him at this point, folks. Remember, like he's got the power of a god, right? He's seeking, infinite knowledge, right? But like, look at what he's doing so far, right? It's become, the whole play has become like sketches of, now he's with the Pope, now he's with the Emperor, now he's with this horse trader, right?
Yeah, Faustus is really insistent, like, okay, come on, you agree, give me the money, right? Give me the money. But he doesn't need the money. So it really must be about, him being sadistic and just wanting to play pranks, right?
He has access to all the money. Right. Like he doesn't, like this has nothing to do with him needing a quick buck or anything like that.
But it's not fun if he gives the man the horse. He needs to screw the man out of the money.
Right. Give a man a horse and you feed him for a day.
Right.
Give a man a buttock.
Don't get it wet.
Exactly. Right? Or you're a cuck.
You could lead a buttock to water, but you can't make it slick.
There you go. Exactly. Right. But yeah, so we were talking about, like all of this stuff should be beneath him. He has the powers of a god, right?
Right.
Speaking of God, right, while the trader's gone, we get another one of those moments where Faustus is actually thinking about his soul, thinking about death, right? And he remembers that story from the New Testament about the thief who got saved, right at the last minute on the cross, right? And no angels this time, right? So Faustus really is alone. And we're like, oh, he's learning, he's getting better. Or I don't know, are we supposed to think that at this point? Because at this point, Keenan, like even just watching this, I'm like, no, fuck this guy. Like he does like a mean thing,
right? And
then his latest victim exits stage left, and then he turns and he's like, oh, but will God ever forgive me? It's like, I don't care anymore. Like I'm waiting for Mephistopheles to drag you down to hell. Sheesh.
Yeah, but it is interesting, right? Like he's like, oh, I'm going to screw over this poor cockney. I know they weren't called that back then, but right, I'm going to screw over this poor guy who has to hustle for a living, and I know that I know it's going to screw him over so well, and I can't wait to see his face when he rides that horse into water, right? But oh, I feel so bad about it. Like oh me, oh my, why must I be this way? Who made me this way? Not God, who doesn't exist.
It's so hard being me.
Right.
It's so hard having fun like this and feeling bad about it.
Right.
It's like, but this is what I was talking about when I said like this is like the anti-Scrooge. It's like I don't feel for this guy. Like like even in the beginning of Christmas Carol, like like Dickens does such a great job like making us afraid of and also like angry at Scrooge for being the way he is.
Yeah.
And then like slowly through the story we get scared with him when Marley shows up.
Right.
We feel bad for him when the Ghost of Christmas Past shows up. We cheer him when the Ghost of Christmas Present is teaching him how to have fun again.
Right.
And then we get scared for him when Future shows up.
Right.
And we're happy for him, at the end of the story. Here, it's like I'm getting farther and farther from this Faustus. I'm distancing myself from him. I was like, I don't like I'm now more closely aligned with Mephistopheles.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see how you respond to the beginning of Act 5, if I'm remembering correctly. It is like this really, how do you say? He's a real toxic mood at the beginning of Act 5. So I think,
oh boy, I can't wait.
Yeah, he's sort of a wallower. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Faust, toxic. All right. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So then, almost immediately after this, soliloquy about him possibly changing, right? We get the horse trader coming back absolutely soaked because, of course, he rode the horse into water, right?
Right?
And the whole thing just vanished beneath him. I think in the text it says that the horse turned into a quote bottle of hay. Is that supposed to be a bale of hay? Is that what they called it back then? Like that's how you
hay,
a bottle of hay. Because I've heard it referred to as like a bundle of hay in another production.
Yes, bottle is bundle. That's what this annotated script version says. Yes.
There we go. Okay, like because it was just weird. Like I was like bottle of hay. Huh.
These English, they just don't know how to speak.
They don't know
how to speak no English.
Yeah.
I've heard this said from a couple of different people, but not really in like, I haven't gone and like looked up the research, and like really confirmed it. But the idea that like what people used to sound like in England before they created received pronunciation, like before that became the standard English, is closer to like 1940s era East Coast Americans.
I have heard that as well,
but I don't know where. Like, how do we know that? And I've heard that, and it sounds like a very American thing. If we have any listeners from Britain, they're like, "What? Preposterous!" Right? but that's the myth that we say in the schoolyards here in America is that we, like not now the way we speak, but back maybe 80 years ago is what English sounded like before the radio.
Yeah. I have heard that. I have not. Bother to check that further. You would think I would. Like I'm obsessed with language and accents. And
I know why
like
you wouldn't, because it just sounds so good, right? It just sounds great.
I don't want to realize that it's bullshit.
Right. I want that to be right.
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to realize that it's bollocks.
Right. You've changed, England, not us.
Yeah,
We're still cool.
Right. That horse has got a fanny.
No. All right, so
it doesn't mean what it means.
So the horse disappears, becomes hay, and then presumably, he rides the bundle of hay across the river, but he doesn't bring it with him on stage or something.
No, he doesn't ride. He just leaves it there and he swims back to shore. What are you talking about?
Well, why would it have to be a bundle then? Like, why wouldn't it just be hay that disintegrates into the river?
It turns into hay like between his legs, and he's like, well, shit, and he hops off it and swims back to shore.
Oh,
he's not gonna bring it back with him.
But he didn't have to get as wet as he's complaining about. That he could have ridden it back to the shore. Is my point.
Well, no, I imagine it sunk once it became hay.
No, hay doesn't sink.
What?
Hay floats.
I'm sure like a large bundle of it would sink under a man's weight. I mean, we're talking, British version of Jim Varney, so he is kind of, light, but
right. Well, listeners, let us know. Have you ever ridden a bottle of hay, and does it sink?
Test
under
it
your
out
weight?
for us. Yeah. Go back to the 15th century, buy a horse from a suspicious magician,
right, mm-hmm.
and ride it into the water and see how wet you get.
Okay, great. Yes, but in real life, don't get your horse wet. Don't feed it after midnight.
And for God's sake, keep them away from bright light.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, so Keenan, it doesn't say this in the text. Are we to assume that he enchanted a bale of hay to look like a horse, and then the water turned it back into a bale of hay? Because it doesn't explain that. It like, for all we know, he gave him his actual horse.
Right.
But like cursed it to become hay if it touches water.
He killed his own horse. Right?
He killed his own horse.
Right.
Yeah.
If you kill a horse that was made from hay, it's not murder.
Right.
Right.
It's farming. But no, that's like it feels like we're missing a step here. It feels like we're missing a detail that it's like oh, I said I gave him my horse, but I actually just enchanted this bale of hay, so it looks like my horse, and it's just a glamour, it's just an illusion, and the illusion is pretty like flimsy, and it'll get, it'll break if it touches water, right? And that's his whole thing is like, don't get it near water. And I thought that's what we were going, but like we never explain it further. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I think at this point he's cruel enough. I just want him to be. This is the end of Act 4. I want him to be bloodthirsty, and he has killed his own horse just to laugh at this guy.
Just
a horse courser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Look at him. He's a horse courser.
Yeah. Right.
He deserves it. He doesn't have land. He doesn't even have a horse.
No. That's why he came to me. All right. But yeah. So this guy comes back and, soaking wet, and he demands to see Faustus. And he finds Faustus sleeping in his chair. And when he can't wake him up, he grabs Faustus's leg and he pulls, and the whole leg comes off in his hands. And this guy runs away, like terrified, while Faustus and Mephistopheles laugh it up and pat each other on the back for this little prank. And again, it's like another prank. And I was like, you sold your soul, dude. What, like the whole, like, I demand thee to follow me, and do as I command, even if it be to cause the moon to drop from its sphere or the ocean to overwhelm the world. What about all that stuff? Like, is that, now I'm understanding, like, maybe Cornelius and Valdez did do business with Mephistopheles, and they just became so fucking immature once they had the power that stuff just got forgotten, and they were like, make sausages grow out of this guy's nose,
Right. Yeah, there are farthings to be won here. Right.
I don't understand. I do not understand. I'm meeting my friend for a game of what's a gambling game they had back then?
Back then, I have no idea.
Cups, rocks. I don't know.
A good game of rocks.
A game of rocks.
A good game of rocks.
and I boasted to him that I'm the rock master. Like make me the rock master, Mephistopheles. It's like, you don't want to meet, the sultan of this land, or you don't want to have dinner with the prince of this land. It's like, no, I want to win this game of rocks.
But more to the point, it could be like, well, you would probably get 70 guineas from this guy, so why don't I just give you the 70 guineas and save you the time?
Right?
No, I want to be really, really good at it. I want to win it myself. Yeah. Don't want to cheat.
Like, what are you going to bet? It's like, I'm going to bet the farm. I'll just give you the farm. Yeah. But folks, actually, the production I saw, the one done at the Globe, is actually a little bit different. It actually follows the B-text here. So we actually have this whole scene where basically all of the people Faustus has screwed over are meeting at a tavern, I think it is, right? You got Robin, you got Rafe/Dick, the wine merchant, or in some version, the innkeeper or the hostess. You got Nan Spit.
Nan Spit? What are
right?
you doing here?
And she and Rafe are being like lovey-dovey. And you got the horse courser, right? And it's here that they have him come in soaking wet, and he explained that his horse turned into a bale of hay when he rode it into the water, which I think is a better comedic bit than the leg thing. So they substituted the leg thing for this. So they had this instead of the leg thing, which I like. Is like, don't have him come back soaking wet in the same scene, right? Do it this way. Have him leave and have, that scene end, and now they're all meeting, and they're like, I don't think Faustus is as, as magical as he says he is. He's a con artist. He's a crook. And then, like, in the midst of all this, kerfuffle, have the horse trader come in soaking wet, and we're like, oh yeah, that guy, right?
But you don't want the leg pulling off at all?
I liked it better this way. Like, I've actually not even seen the leg pulling off.
Yeah. So Elizabethandrama.org calls this line, stage direction here, pulls Faustus by the leg and pulls it away. And the notation is one of the oddest stage directions in the canon.
Pulls Faustus, and it says exactly, pulls Faustus by the leg and pulls it away.
Yes.
Like it becomes a cane, and he kind of like it's like
hello, my Faustus. Hello, my Matthew.
Yeah. Or it's become like a tug of war, and then it like snaps, and he just like flies across the stage. Or
I don't know. It's up to you. But one of the oddest stage directions in the canon, and I have a feeling at ElizabethanDrama.org that they are fairly familiar with the canon.
Right, they got a big canon. Right. But yeah, folks. I mean, I prefer this way. I prefer the one I saw because it was a nice callback. It was a completely different scene.
Right, gotcha.
That we got to get that payback.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we cut back in the A text to scene 2. This one's also really short. We got Faustus doing another magic show for nobility. It made me think of Amadeus, right? Like where Mozart, who has like written operas at this point, is reduced to like doing private lessons, right? Or back when he was like younger, doing like private shows, right? The difference is Faustus doesn't seem to see this as a reduction, right? Like he's all about this, right? Like this is what he chooses to use his powers for.
Yeah, like magic tricks one at a time.
Yeah,
for a small group of people, right? And yeah, they're the Pope, and they're the the Duke of this and the Count of this, and the Holy Roman Emperor. But yeah, still, it's like, yeah, why aren't we doing this on a grand scale? Why can't you make everyone in Europe all at once recognize that you are who you are?
Yeah, right. You throw yourself down from the temple and and hover a little bit. Come on.
Right. Yeah. You only got 24 years. To do this.
What are you going to do?
If that's the point, is like getting everyone to know who you are, doing it one dinner party at a time.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's relishing the kind of like the rumors that are spreading or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. But, okay, the way that this scene plays out, right, especially in the production I saw, there's definitely something going on here, right? The way Faustus is looking at the Duchess and the way the Duke is looking at both of them. All right. And so, yeah, like after some banter, Faustus notes that the Duchess is pregnant, and he also notes that, quote, great-bellied women have unusual, quote, cravings, and he asks what she would like. And she says, I don't know why I'm doing it in this voice. Blah. Why?
Like you're like also like using innuendo to describe like she's pregnant.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
That's it.
Like, her belly is great.
Great bellied women. Yeah. No.
Pregnant women like unusual food. They crave unusual food, right?
Yeah, that's not weird at all, Faustus. What are you talking about? Why'd you make me read it that way? But yeah, she says she would like nothing more than some fresh, ripe, juicy grapes. But she notes that it is January. It's cold. It's dead. It's barren. Nothing is growing. She looks over at the. I almost said baron, but it's not the baron. It's the Duke. There we go. Yeah,
he's a Duke.
He's a Duke, right? But Faustus sends Mephistopheles off, only to return moments later with these perfect ripe grapes. And folks, the Duchess is just overcome with pleasure at how good they taste. And she and Faustus begin eating them very suggestively. Actually, the version I saw, the way that he got them was he reached under her skirt and pulled them out. It's like, is that a coin behind your ear? Is that a ripe bunch of grapes between your legs?
Yeah, I was wondering if you're going to bring the voice back.
Yeah, no.
He reached under her skirt.
No. But yeah, the Duchess and the Duke are both amazed by this. They ask Faustus how he could possibly obtain grapes in January. And Faustus gives this very impressive explanation, about seasons and the hemispheres, right? How it's winter here, but on the other side of the world, it's summer. And he basically says exactly what he did, right? He sent his servant, Mephistopheles, to fetch the grapes from the other side of the world and put them up the Duchess's skirt. He doesn't say that, but apparently that's what he did. But yeah, it's another scene with Faustus doing what he does best, using his powers cheaply to charm his way into noble circles and other things. Right? Plackets.
Oh, to be a flea in her placket.
Yeah. Oh, to be a flea in her yeah.
Yeah, more than one person says that in this play.
Yeah.
That's what they would like.
That's what surprised me the most. I was like, okay, it's like Robin and Ray are saying it's like, all right, okay, I get it. But then, somebody else said, I was like, what is with plackets and fleas here? And it's like said in a sexy way. It's like, it's like, I don't know, like. I've heard someone be like, oh, I wish I were a bar of soap that I could just slide off. I was like, okay, that kind of, like. At least that's a clean person,
Do you know what King Charles had said to his girlfriend Camilla Parker Bowles when they were together?
Oh dear, I'm afraid.
This is history. Everybody.
Yeah, sure. What did he say?
He said that he would like to be her tampon.
I see. Well. There you go, folks.
Yeah. That's history.
Yeah. You wonder why it's not, you don't see it in the history books, right? Because they're trying to censor us. They're trying to keep knowledge from us. This very important knowledge.
They got him on tape. I mean,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the British are real mad at this episode. Like everything why are you picking on us British this episode?
Yeah.
Sorry, it just kind of all happened at once.
Yeah.
No, because we admire them so much.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah, there we go. Sure. Yeah. Okay, but now this is where that extra scene in the B text pays off, because we basically have all of those people from the tavern, Robin, Rafe, the horse trader, the wine merchant, Nanspit, right? They all crash this party and demand to see Faustus. And Faustus tells the Duke to let him in because he's going to have some fun with them. Not in the sexy way. And in my text, they each kind of like step forward to tell Faustus off. And the stage direction says that Faustus charms them dumb, end quote, right?
Yeah.
And in the production I saw, he sort of taps his goblet and they each freeze mid-sentence. And then the Duke and the Duchess exit, and they bid Faustus to follow them for his quote-unquote reward. Right? And right before he exits, he's like the last one to leave. Faustus turns around, and he taps his cup again, and each of the frozen characters like finish with like the last word of each sentence, right? And then they look around, they don't know where they are. And then they walk off, like that guy with the bottle of hay. He's just like, well, shit. And he just walks off. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's it, folks. That is Act 4. Keenan, what did we think of this one? It's another short one. It's another kind of like episodic one. We started out with, we're building up Faustus. We're learning about who he is, like in relation to the town, and then what he wants. And then we meet Mephistopheles. He's, he dabbles in this forbidden magic and it's dangerous. And we're like, oh no. And then Mephistopheles comes and there's some drama because like he wants to turn back, but then Lucifer shows up and we're like, oh man, this is getting like this is building and building and building. And then we get to Act 4 and it's like, okay, now he's playing with the Pope. Now he's playing with the Emperor. Now he's, screwing this guy over, Yeah,
I don't mind the episodic nature of it because I think that, that all goes into sort of my thesis is that he has to discover that this power he's getting from the devil is unsatisfactory. And that's where I think he's going to end up at the beginning of Act 5. This is like, this is fun for a weekend or something, right? But that's not what he thought he was getting. And that, because he is... what he really needs to understand is that none of that matters compared to the love of God that he has forsaken, right? So I like the episodic nature of it. That's fine. The scene that's just about like making the grapes appear, I don't understand. Like you're saying in the productions that you're having, like why it's not just folded into one of the other big scenes, right? Like it like to have a whole scene about the grapes when it just it's just a magic trick. It's just one trick. About the grapes. So that's the only thing. So, but I like the idea of him going to the Holy Roman Empire and doing this stuff that like feels like, oh, is this really what he should be doing? Because that's the point of the play, I think, is that he shouldn't be doing any of this. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it, kids at home.
Yeah. Keep your souls, right? Until you find the one. But and are we going to find is Mephistopheles the one for Faustus? We'll have to see. That that'll be answered in future acts. Acts so lurid, we cannot speak them here.
Great.
But for now, that is all of my notes. Keenan, how about you? Got anything else?
No, I think we got it.
All right, folks, this has been another episode of The Devil's Details. I've been Lester Ryan Clark. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I've been Keenan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd as Howdy Keenan.
Yeah. Find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram, or feel free to drop us a message at bananaforscalemail, that's MAIL.com, or at gmail.com. We also got our listener group, Banana for Scale. That's a community for all of our shows, including this one. It's a private group, but just request to join and we'll let you in. If you want more, consider joining us at truestory.fm/join and look for Banana for Scale. That's us. You get bonus episodes of all of our shows, access to our Discord, and you get your episodes a week early. Pretty cool. Just $5 for all of that. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5 pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. It's getting kind of hot in here. I can feel the fires are burning. So until next week, love and hisses. Mwah!